it's unbelievable.
No.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that people at HHS and involved in this project, as you said, knew this wasn't going to work. I mean, it's inconceivable that no one tested it.
January 1, 2015, no fines whatsoever, transition in, work out the kinks, let's fix this thing.
I would support that. I think Senator Rubio would support it.
All right. It's bad enough for the White House when you got Republicans having Mardi Gras here talking about the problems with Obamacare, but when Democrats and even former Obama insiders pile on, it's not just Robert Gibbs. You had William Daley today, and he made an analogy to the Titanic about this thing. That's when you know, if you're the administration and the president in particular, you've got problems. And speaking of headaches, well, tonight's panel, Tom Doherty, he is with us, a partner at Mercury and a former advisor to New York Governor George Pataki. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Kevin Baker here. Kevin Bacon, 6 Degrees. He's a Renaissance man, author, historian, novelist, range of expertise here from politics to baseball. We're getting into that as well this hour. And finally, Andrew, whom you've heard here, and would love me to throw Renaissance in, but a little bit of a stretch. Yeah. All right. So, Tom, it must have been nice seeing Obamacare put on trial today for you.
No, I mean, it's never good. I mean, you know, the bottom line is that, you know, we're all Americans. We want our government to work, and this just clearly from top to bottom has been a failure. And you know, and as I've said, you know, over the last couple of weeks, the Republican failure has been that we wasted so much time with this government shutdown nonsense, is that if from October 1st we had just been talking about this and let it go out on its own.
Or just shut up and get out of the way.
Right, exactly. You know, when the bus is going down the hill and it's going to crash, don't jump in front of it and get taken down with it, which was what happened to my party for a while. But now, as you see, many prominent Democrats around the country are saying a lot of what we've been saying. This is badly done. In 3 years, they couldn't get a website up and running properly. And, you know, it'll fail or succeed, and we'll go forward.
Take the politics out of it, Dominic. Here's the part I don't get. I don't care if you're running a fruit stand. You knew the target when you were going to do this. What kind of due diligence was there that nobody checked the thing? First of all, you knew that half of Washington was rooting not only for the thing not to work, but to look for problems. You had it on a silver platter here at jump that the thing isn't even operational. And you talk to people who were even have a cursory involvement with programming. They learned within 30 minutes of trying to operate this thing. The thing was inoperable. It was wrong. It was making mistakes. I don't understand, you know, how anybody thought this was ready for prime time. I mean, irresponsible is putting it politely.
How about all the money that's been spent to make sure that it's up and running? The fact of the matter is, Richard, the Obama White House, for once, you can't blame the Republicans. I mean, they don't have anything to do with this. You know, they
I know that hurt for you.
No. This is one time. I got to tell you something. In the green room, while you guys were on, these two here, I have a headache. The way they were debating this issue.
Let me bring in this side of the table. Make an argument why we should give the benefit of the doubt here to the administration and why the rollout deserves more time.
Oh, we shouldn't give the benefit of the doubt to them. And it's amazing. This is the thing that always surprises me about the Obama administration is the basic incompetence that goes on a lot, particularly like for things like this. Computers, this should be in their bailiwick. This should be something they specialize in. They certainly.
You got these guys on speed dial, right? Yeah. I mean, you could have brought them in. They probably would have done it gratis. You didn't even have to go the contractor route. It's just, it's
as if FDR came in with the major reforms, the New Deal, and the bridges started falling down. You know, it's a terrible performance. That said, what we were arguing about was that we do need some kind of universal health care in this country. You just can't go on as the only Western country, the only industrialized country without it.
And Andrew, to me, the ones who should be most angry about it were the ones who have fought for this thing at political risk, and then this is the best. And that, I think, is where the risk is. It's not just the three Democrats. You got Pryor, you got Shaheen, you got Manchin right now, three Democratic senators in red states potentially that could have some problems on their hands. They're saying push the deadline back. Sooner than later, other Democrats are going to say, well, don't make it March, make it June. And there's a legitimate reason, which is if you're going to force people to, you know, basically sign up for this thing or there's penalty, it's not fair to say by the way, it'll be working for about 15 days, and then you're going to have to pay a price.
And you may see the deadline get pushed back, or you may see open enrollment expanded, or the time period expanded, so that people can get to use it.
Well, if they do push it back, what's the political risk?
Well, the political risk is that it looks bad for the White House, and then if you wind up pushing back the mandate, then all of the levers that make the thing run could theoretically not work, and you don't get to the numbers of people in the program that you need to try to keep the rates down. But my question is the one that Frank Pallone asked during the hearing today, which is the whole goal of this to actually fix this and make it work? Because it can work, it's just bad software right now. Or is it to try to embarrass the thing, make it look so bad so that it just dies?
But hasn't that horse already left the barn?
I don't think so.
In the end, the Democrats can't cry like, how dare you guys? I like Pallone's performance. I thought it was legit. But at the end of the day, the administration asked for it. I mean, you know that there's going to be partisanship. It's like gambling in this establishment. It's going to happen.
It's a bad website. That doesn't mean the program is bad, and that's the point that everybody needs to.
I happen to agree with you.
That everybody needs to remember. So, what is the point of these hearings? Is it to fix the website and to make the rollout work better, or is it to kill the program?
Let's do some math questions. How long, Tom? How long do they get until they fix this thing? They can point the fingers. We can have the hearings. Sebelius can get grilled next week. How long until this goes from being a 2-day, 3-day news cycle lead to all of a sudden being a drumbeat where everybody has a clock up on their newscast?
Well, I think that, Andrew hit it on the head. I think that ultimately it's the law of the land. We've had that debate, okay? And we've tried to defund it. We've tried to put it off, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think at some point, and the days are coming soon, where the president is going to have to delay aspects of this because, as you pointed out, you need a certain amount of people to sign up or else it just is not fiscally viable at all. So if they can they ran the best computer operation when it came to political fundraising, when it came to political campaigning. The fact that they can't get this fixed is quite frankly a little bit, mind-boggling.
I think that's putting
I
it
just
politely.
don't understand how that's possible. And our thing has always been on my side of the aisle is that it's not like, this program was thrown at you last month. It's 3 years. And when you have people, and I don't know what to believe, but when you say we spent $630 million on this computer program, when you have people on the air now that say, $630 million, we could have put this program together for a couple of $1 million, and it would have worked. That just says to me, and I think the president, look, in loyalty, I love loyalty in government, et cetera, but at some point, he needs to say, look, you're gone. Somebody's got to roll on this.
Brings me to my next question, Dominic.
Somebody's got to go.
You've covered enough of these, right? Even at the state, city, and now national level, does the head have to roll?
In my opinion, but Obama comes off as the president comes off as the type of guy that's loyal. He's going to go against conventional wisdom. So if he does do it, I don't see it happening soon. He's not going to give the media what the media wants. Somebody needs to go. I don't know if it's the secretary, but somebody has to go.
The whole no drama Obama thing. But sometimes you need a little drama. Sometimes you need to make somebody walk the plank.
Let's move past the drama and some of the math, guys, which to me is they need healthy people to sign up for this. It's not just the no-brainers, the people with the pre-existing conditions. You need healthy people that don't have insurance. The magic number, as we talked about, 7 million. I think they got to go on another PR offensive and another explanation tour because the stories that are coming out are people, especially in rural areas and some other places, that say, time out, I did the math here. It's cheaper if I just go to the ER. I mean, there's problems with the site, but there's also problems, at least in the initial rollout, to get the numbers up there. And that's a math issue, isn't it?
Well, I mean, yeah, they're not getting the competition in rural areas particularly. And that shouldn't be such a surprise to them either.
Yep.
I found that as a freelancer. The big competition thing, I'd go to different healthcare. They differed by about $200, and it was $12,000 a year for these supposedly competing, insurance companies to insure me. So, yeah, I mean, I think my feeling would be go with Medicare for all, But now that they're committed to this,
I think a lot of people came to the realization that you just talked about, which was, there's this partisan back and forth, but once it's out there, it's going to knock your socks off. You go to this site, you're going to see huge savings. And for some people, absolutely, it's real. It's a good idea. We all agree 26 for your kids that can stay on your policy. All those things make sense. But when people do the price matching, in many cases, I think there's been this surprise to say time out.
Well, 2 points about the prices. One, rural areas, not that big a surprise. You're talking about mostly Republican areas where there is no expansion of Medicaid, and that's one of the problems, versus California, New York, Oregon.
You're saying where states have their own
where
programs,
states,
it's
where
better.
states run their own exchange instead of the federal exchange. So there's that going on, first of all. And second of all, healthcare costs before Obamacare were rising at about 6% a year. So the fact that people's healthcare costs continue to increase is not a surprise. That's not what was promised. It's just that they're not going to rise as much.
All right.
Or hopefully go down.
All right, let's take a break here. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about after Bloomberg. And it looks like, barring some photos, and I don't even know what kind of photos it would take for de Blasio to lose at this point here, he will be the next mayor. But what will the mayoralty look like under a de Blasio administration, and what about some of the promises he's making versus what he can deliver? We're going to talk more about that on the other side of this break.